Ria. Yeah.
Usually I don't have. So you're gonna make the motion. And then Bill say something.
I already made the note.
We won't actually be making the biggest crowd since that's prior to the. What's that?
Yeah.
We have a forum, yes, we do.
Yes, you do.
Thank you.
We are right. Chelsea, you're. Yeah, is that cool? Or were you said to do it? Nope.
I'll make sure one of us
I'm
does.
glad that we have a unanimous decision like that.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the PCOE USD joint board meeting. And I'd like to invite our principal from Quincy Junior Senior High School to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Klein. Edlin. Here. Harrison.
Here.
Keller.
Here.
Reed.
Okay, thank you very much. Prior to the approval of the agenda, I think we have an amendment forthcoming.
I do. I have an amendment to propose is on item 6, section C, to move in front of item A for timing purposes.
Thank you very much. Is that a motion then?
That's a motion.
Okay, second, please.
I'll second.
First and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. So, now let's approve the agenda as amended. Need a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
First and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much. And, but before we do anything else, we need to, talk about the board organization for 2024. Normally, each December, a few exceptions here and there, but normally in December, we elect officers to the board, including board president, board clerk, and we appoint typically the superintendent as the board secretary. So, any discussion about that? And if not, we'll entertain motions.
It's a little odd with our other, we've got one board member stuck in traffic and one board member on her way here as well, so.
I probably shouldn't vote, so should
You want to,
It would be nice to move this till they get here, that I would offer that up to have the full board vote on this. item.
table it till after items?
Now we've already approved the agenda, but that makes sense to me. What do you think?
I agree.
Okay.
to postpone that for a little bit. And item 6B. That's for a schedule of our joint regular PCOE PUSD board meetings for the calendar year 2024.
Five B. Or no?
Yeah, I think it's 5.
Yeah.
Five B, yeah.
Yeah. I make a motion to approve the agenda as proposed, or I mean, the agenda, I'm sorry, the schedule as proposed.
I second that.
We have a first and we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much. And as previously discussed, because we have amended the agenda, we'd like to move on forward to item 6C, which is regarding the student representative to the governing board. I'd like to invite the principal to say a few words about the FOP.
Well, good afternoon. Representing Quincy Junior Senior High School, I'm proud to present Macy Hay, our student body president, as well as she wears many hats on campus, an athlete, a top scholar, and I'm proud to have you represent us. So thank you. Thank you.
Good.
Macy has to go make some 3-pointers at the game tonight. So Macy, I'll have you stand and repeat after me. I'm gonna have you raise your right hand and you can use that. To help, get my glasses. I know, but okay, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Macy Pay,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear fear, faith, and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I'm about to enter. Okay.
At this point, I think we're giving an update on events with Quincy High School.
Okay, so to start off, our volleyball team won league and made it to playoffs. Our soccer team also made it to playoffs. Our leadership has planned a harvest festival / haunted house. We made $600. It was the first event that we've had like that since COVID, so it was successful. Our leadership planned our first ever powder scruff event, raising $400 for ASB. This was where the men from grades 9 through 12 participated in the volleyball. Leadership is planning our first winter formal for the junior high. Leadership is also planning on buying fun sports games and rally supplies for the students. We have a holiday rally coming up next week, and we have spent money on baking cookies for the staff and students. Our girls varsity basketball team took home a first place trophy at the Bigs tournament. Our cheer competition team has its first competition this Saturday, and our service club is running a toy drive and canned food drive right now, and we'll be taping Mr. McMorrow to the wall at our holiday rally.
And there will be photos.
There will be photos, yeah.
Fantastic.
Our CSF club is up and running, and we are planning a trip for the end of the school year for all of the members. We haven't done that since my 7th grade year, so it's good to have that back. We have our peer educator group going to the elementary school on the National Kindness Day and handing out donuts. Mrs. Wren and Mr. Wallace have started our ag program this year. It's been busy, going on different field trips, recently attending the Butte College for a 2-day advanced manufacturing event. Our 4 ag mechanic students went on the trip and built a barbecue from start to finish with customizations in just 6.5 hours. Our high school honor band attended the Region 5 honor band field trip to Tahoe City in November. And then our junior high school honor band in Chico will take place in January. Joint winter concert with QES will be held next Tuesday, 12/19 at 6 p.m. in the Quincy Junior Senior High School lower gym, and all are invited to attend. So that's my update on Quincy High School, and thank you.
I did want to mention that you have a basketball game tonight, I think at 5, and you may be departing in a little bit, and
Yes.
just want to let you know.
Obviously, I'll stick for now.
You can go whenever you need.
Thank you.
It's warm up.
You don't have to be there.
Thank you for this.
When will you be taping Matt McMorrow to the wall?
The 21st of December.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Has to be that in my notes.
Yes.
Thanks again. So we have some presentations coming up. I'd like to call up Jordan Blanton.
Good afternoon. I'm Jordan Blanton, the proud principal of Quincy Elementary School at our Alder campus. And it is my pleasure to present Miss Sophia Marquez with this Principal's Recognition Award. Not only did Sophia model our Cougar Code of Conduct of responsibility, respect, and safety every day, she also exemplifies the Cougar spirit through curiosity and determination. One example of Sophia's determination is that since October, every single week, she has met her iReady goals in both math and in reading without fail. And this hard work and effort has paid off because on our most recent iReady diagnostic, she grew 52 points in reading and 36 points in math, meeting her stretch goals for the year in just the first trimester. And not only did she make this incredible growth, she made it to the top of the grade level, having the highest score now in math and in reading. Sophia hopes to attend UCLA and earn a scholarship for softball. And she is already an exemplar when it comes to being a scholar athlete. And we believe that there is nothing that can hold her back from meeting her goals. We are so proud of Sophia and grateful for her to represent Quincy Elementary School.
By Jennifer Shield. Come on up.
Good afternoon, I'm invite Anna Mercer to come up with me. I've selected Anna Mercer for our Principal's Recognition Award for many reasons. I'd like to share that her mom, Rita, is here, and her pillar of support, Holly Booth, as well. What makes Anna awesome is I want to start with first impressions. Her sophomore year, I was brand new here. And her first impression, she came out of her way to come up and introduce herself, shake my hand, and really left that lasting impression that I continue to see that positiveness all through her school years. She's quietly and diligently meeting our Trojan Pride expectations. She's prepared, she's respectful, she's inclusive, she's disciplined and excellent. A Trojan Scholar earning a 4.0 all last year and currently earning all A's with this grading term. Excellent attendance. We see her at school almost every single day. Over the summer, she was selected to attend the Rotary RILA program, where they go and they learn leadership skills and some management skills, and then really build some lasting friendships. And again, a great representation from Quincy Junior Senior High School, or Quincy High School at that time. She comes back. All of our participants come back. They're invited to Rotary to give a presentation. Anna is not shy to speak in front of people. She's come to our ILT meetings, which is our district and site leadership meetings, to share about our peer educator group. She speaks well and she speaks in a professional way and really commands the attention of the room. She's our student leader in the peer educator group. This is the group that is taking on leadership roles, going into our elementary schools to present awareness presentations, organizing different things on our campus and holding a weekly meeting on Mondays and talking about different school related things and how to better our school environment. I do want to share with you a few things that her teachers have said. Anna was also selected for November Student of the Month. Congratulations. I didn't do that yet. And this is what Mrs. Lurch says about you, and I don't have my glasses, so I'll do the best I can. Anna is incredibly conscientious. She has maturity that is way beyond her years, coupled with a compassionate heart. Anna cares deeply about her education and consistently turns in high quality work, even though there are many demands on her time. She is incredibly hard worker, and I'm so grateful for her gentle presence in my class. Mrs. Hurst says, Anna is not only one of the kindest students I know, but she's also a diligent student in the classroom. She works hard to learn concepts and excels on tests. So overall, Anna is just one of those students that we want representing Quincy High School, as well as Quincy in our community and Quincy Unified. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, now we're, looking at something called feature feature. We'll invite Daniel Britt up to discuss it.
Good
Thank you.
afternoon. I'm Danielle Friend, and I'm here to highlight our career and technical education programs that we are offering this year at Quincy High School. First up, I'd like to introduce Ms. Nicole Yoka. She's been teaching with us for 17 years, and she is under the hospitality and food service pathway for students. As part of the California Restaurant Association Pro Start program, students have in-depth hands-on experience that allows them to develop necessary skills to work in the hospitality industry. Students can earn multiple certifications. In her program, they can participate in school-based enterprise and gain work experience. Upon her program, students have a work-ready portfolio and employable and marketable skills for entry-level position in the hospitality industry. New this year is Mr. Adam Willows, representing the agricultural mechanics program. He is in his 3rd year of teaching and 9th year with the industry, and he's also an FFA, Future Farmers of America advisor. Ag mechanics covers many topics, including woodworking, electrical, plumbing, welding, fabrication, and surveying. Freshmen learn a little bit of everything in his programs. The goal by their senior year is to be proficient, focusing on a year-long project, perhaps incorporating some advanced welding. FFA students travel all over the state to compete against other high school students using their learned knowledge and skills. FFA students have the opportunity to compete in LED or leadership development events, which entail public speaking, job interview contests, resume building, record and bookkeeping. They also attend career development events, which are everything hands-on, including tractor driving, livestock skills and judging, equipment and small engine operations, farming skills, and more. And I am in my 3rd year teaching media arts. I teach desktop publishing or yearbook and graphic design. And I'm in my 14th year teaching art for East Unified. My courses fall under the arts and media entertainment industry. Students build up their websites and their resumes in my courses as they learn basic drawing and design and photography skills. They work with a variety of technologies and softwares, including the Adobe Suite, Mac computers, and lots of amazing photography equipment. Desktop publishing students learn about journalism, photography, and design elements while they work as a team to produce our book. And Ms. Wren, Hannah Wren, is our ag teacher. She is in her 3rd year teaching. She teaches sustainable agricultural biology and emphasizes detailed knowledge of all living things, structures and functions of plants and animals, genetics, plant and animal diversity, and the principles of classification. Students participate in FFA, which promotes premier leadership, career success, and personal growth. The Ag Natural Resources course. She also helps the students understand the relationship between California's natural resources and the environment. She also teaches ag leadership and junior high ag courses. Students who are best fit for her courses are students who are hardworking and willing to learn new skills as the industry is always evolving. And Mr. Clay Lund teaches 3D printing and electronics. This falls under the manufacturing and product development industry. He's been in the industry for, he has 23 years experience with the Air Force and 6 years in the private sector as an engineering technician. There are many essential skills learned in these courses. Students should be proficient in math and reading and have drive and perseverance. And he loves working with interested students He strives to provide students with an opportunity to explore careers that they may have no prior experience with at all. Miss Elise Orbitz, teaches business and finance, and this falls under the business and finance industry. She has been with us for many years. She is in her second year though, teaching careers in personal finance. She helps students connect with their career goals and interests and develop their career portfolio. The business and finance course offers students an introduction to a wide variety of occupations that include accounting, marketing, project and strategic planning. And lastly, Mr. Jake Sandlin, he is our automotive teacher. He has many years experience in the industry, the transportation industry. He teaches automotive technology 1 and junior high auto shop. They learn in his courses engine basics and simple circuitry. They have the opportunity to work hands-on with wiring basics, tire, machine, brakes, wheel bearings, and more. And this career path offers multiple entryways, different careers such as truck repair, office management, fleet services, bodywork, and more. And those are CT teachers.
Yeah,
Okay, can I ask a question real quick? So in the culinary program or in any of the CTEs is that also career into our FRC programs? Do we have, is there
a bridge?
Yeah.
I think that's still developing. I'd like to see that grow. For sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Can I add one more thing?
I just wanted to point out that Danielle, for its students in her pathway, are helping to get some information out to our students on getting, so that they can make good choices and selections when they're selecting their electives, and getting the information out to our families and just helping to promote our CTE program. So she didn't mention that that's part of what she's working on.
So this presentation is a start for my students to, they're creating a logo for each course, for each teacher, and they're creating a brochure for our school.
Great. Thank you so much. This is the time and place for presentation regarding our school libraries. I'd like to invite Tracy Keppel to step forward.
Board member. Okay, so first of all, Dr. Richard is here, talking about something that just sounded so exciting about all the things that are going on in Quincy High School. This is actually a time where I'd like to raise some awareness. I'd like to thank our USD board and our administrative leaders for putting high school libraries on the agenda today. And is this where you would like me to stand?
you're fine. You're adjusting that. I'm just gonna.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
You're good.
Thank you for putting this on the agenda today. I'd like to start by looking at the current state of our libraries in our district. If you can refer to the screen, I'd just like to read quickly. Chester High School Library is closed and has been for 2 years. Greenville's library is closed. Portola is open 2 days and is allotted 11 hours a week. Quincy has been intermittently closed and open due to staffing issues this year, but they are allotted 15 hours per week when open. Furthermore, I'd just like to say, do you realize that students with open periods in their schedules are required to leave campus? And we don't have a place for them to go. In the name of safety, we mandate students leave our campuses. If our campuses had libraries that were open, instead of being dark and closed, Instead of being closed, they would be open as a safe space to study, to do homework, for tutoring, reading during these open periods in these students' day. I believe it's important for you to know the current state of our libraries with respect to our district goals. And what are those established priorities and goals for our students in our district? Next slide, please. The LCAP, it's an extensive 102-page document that looks closely at the deficiencies and gaps of our district in comparison to state averages. In the bullet points on the slide are listed 5 of 6 priority areas where significant improvement is needed or gaps are identified. Number 1, English language arts, lower than state average. English language arts includes reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And the definition of literacy, the ability to read and write. We are in a downward trend. Words like national crisis and unprecedented are all too common. We have students sitting in the hallways on their phones while our libraries are closed or have very limited hours. Number 2, chronic absenteeism, higher than the state average. Our kids aren't coming to school. Many kids do not feel they belong or feel isolated. Libraries are hubs. They connect and they build community. Number 3, suspension rates are higher than the state averages. What if we had libraries open to provide a distinctly different atmosphere, a place to redirect, to debrief, to help students move in a more positive direction? Number 4, English learner progress does not meet state goals. Libraries should provide students with English and other language resources. Let's build this up. Let's give them a place to go. And we have the resources and the funding to buy new books. Number 5, graduation rates. I am convinced that graduation rates and grades are impacted, especially in regards to our at-risk students, by having a place for homework recovery, for tutoring, for time to help with senior projects, test preparation, college applications. The list goes on. We have the spaces on each of our schools. We have libraries on every high school campus. I have read all 102 pages of the LCAP. I have read the entire school plan for student achievement for Quincy High School. Nowhere are libraries or librarians even mentioned. Never are they suggested as a resource to achieve these goals. I believe libraries are a missing essential element. But don't just take my word for it. What do the studies show and what does the data tell us? Next slide, please. In your folder, there is a copy of the CDE review article entitled California's School Libraries Make a Difference. The opening 2 sentences are as follows. California public schools with strong school library programs outperform those without such programs in the areas of student engagement and academic achievement. This is true regardless of the school community's parent education and poverty level, ethnicity, and percentage of English language learners. Research shows a statistically significant relationship between strong high school libraries and academic achievement. Some of the key elements of a strong high school library found in this study are, number 1, total hours the library is open. Number 2, total services provided by library staff. 3, technology provided through the library. 4, full-time teacher librarians and library assistants. Number 5, library or liberal access to library facilities, technology, and resources. In the research, nearly every element and aspect of a high school library program correlates with academic achievement and good mental health. The CDE's conclusion: strong school libraries give students their best chance to succeed. As the Quincy High School librarian since 2010, I've personally seen where the library becomes the educational hub of the school and a crucial safe space for all of our students. Next slide, please. In your folder is an article entitled School Libraries as Safe Spaces Promoting Literacy and Well-Being. I would encourage you to please read this and the other articles that I've included. All evidence-based studies, all pointing in the same direction. Libraries build literacy and support our students' well-being. And what do librarians do? We are connectors. We connect books to students. We support teachers. We connect community. We nurture literacy by promoting a positive culture around books and reading. We connect students to a safe space to learn, to grow, and to become. And dynamic libraries include programs like makerspaces that inspire creativity and give hands-on training with powerful and up-to-date technology that other will be available in students' homes. I appreciated our keynote speaker, Jonathan Mooney, who spoke to the entire district this fall. He challenged us to change the environment around the learner and challenge the deficit model. Find the good, find the passion, find the pathway for each of our students. Libraries are a pathway, an essential environment that needs to be open. Next slide, please. So what can be done? You likely know the common barriers: poor funding, inadequate staffing, lack of recognition and awareness of what libraries can do. But what can we do? And time is of an essence. Number one, open our high school libraries 5 days a week, full-time hours. It used to be this way. Number two, staff libraries with qualified school librarians. And three, allocate district funds to pay librarian salaries that attract and retain qualified staff. I would like to invite the board at any time to come visit our libraries. If you come to Quincy High on a Wednesday, come visit our book clubs. And thank you so much for listening. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for coming today.
Appreciate that.
Tracy, I'm going to acknowledge all the work that you've done at Quincy High School. I mean, know that you volunteered to paint and made that and furniture and have made that space welcoming for our students. I know a lot of that has been your time and personal time, volunteer time and energy and heart and passion. And so I really appreciate that. And I want you to know that I take this very seriously and I believe in the cause, that how this, we'll have to discuss, the parts and pieces, but I want to know that I value you and what you do.
Thank you.
And all our librarians.
And acknowledge the difference you've made in so many students' lives. Really been so impactful. Thank you.
Thank you. If we want to bounce back up to the beginning or hold that off for a few minutes, so what's the board's pleasure?
I mean, we're already at 7.
What's that?
So we held off on the nominations. And so wasn't sure if we wanted to start that up again. Or get through public comments and then come back to it. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, let's do public input first. Okay. Next up is public input. There's a few items I want to point out regarding that. That's pertinent. There is a 3-minute time limit for each person who is speaking. And also, speaker time, the 3 minutes will be monitored, and we put a cap on 20 minutes per topic. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge here because we have quite a few comments, and they all seem to be, with the exception of maybe one, connected to the same topic. We'll do our best to honor that 20-minute time limit, and we'll also, I would respectfully request that we keep our comments to under 3 minutes, and we'll give you a 1-minute warning so that you have time to sum up if you need to. First, submission for to speak, and forgive me for maybe messing up the first name. It says, is it Xenia or?
Yeah.
Thank you. Please come forward and share your thoughts.
Welcome to the library. So I've had access to the library for my entire life, and I've learned they're not just a room full of messy books. They're a room full of open doors and thriving with life. Some of my most prominent memories take place in the library. Looking for books, hanging out with my friends, and I said goodbye to one of my childhood best friends in the library. And my love for reading and writing, which are important life skills, were fostered through a library. And Ms. Keppel, our librarian, has worked very hard to create a safe space where students can explore new passions, strengthen friendships, and contribute to the ever-growing community of library goers. I know whenever I walk into the library and Ms. Keppel's there, I can count on a good book recommendation and a happy smile. It's really brings my day, makes my day. And the beautiful thing about a library is it's more than books. There's a community of gamers, puzzlers, computer people, and knowledge that is only made possible through the hard work that Ms. Keppel has put into the library. And denying students access to a library is denying them access to a whole nother world of life. And that's why libraries and institutions kept open, receive funding from the school district, and be staffed with qualified librarians.
Thank you very much. Caitlin Miller.
This is also about the library. So, okay. So when people think about libraries, they think of these big rooms with like just filled with books. And while that's technically correct, they're like a lot more than that. It's a place to like get information about things, and it's a place to hang out with friends, and it's a place to like feel safe, and it's a place where you can go when you have nowhere else to go. The library, it holds like hundreds of books and stories and information about almost anything that you could need. And books for a lot of people are kind of like an escape from reality. And without the library open, students are denied a place to go when they need a break. We use the library for things like eating lunch, doing puzzles, studying, hanging out with friends, and a bunch of different clubs and class meetings. And like even just to quietly like study for a test that you're cramming for the next period. We're trying to start a makerspace program too, as an opportunity for students to learn more about things like 3D printing and like 3D modeling and more technical things. But without the library open consistently with the resources that it needs, none of this can happen. At the end of the day, it's more than just a room with a bunch of books, even though that is an essential part of it. It's a place where you can connect with people and learn more things, and that's why it's important. Thank you.
Very much. Luke Lurch.
In the last couple of years, we've had an experienced librarian, adept and familiar with our Quincy High School library. Ms. Keppel has made book displays, organized shelves, run clubs and activities, and provided a place of support and comfort for Quincy High students. Students spend all day in classrooms, front-facing desks, pens and paper, and projectors. The library, though, is not a classroom. Couches, games, books, and puzzles make a more comfortable environment than any classroom has ever been. The library serves quite a few purposes as well. It's the campus's only staff meeting room, the only room in which multiple clubs and activities are based, and the room that the most students eat lunch in. On top of all that, there's hundreds of books available to all of our students through the expertise and assistance of our librarians. Despite the library's clear necessity and criticality, due to the limited hours and low pay available to librarians, the library has found itself leaning on community volunteers, and only after long months of closed doors. The generosity of these people who donate their time to students has gone unacknowledged. They have not been rewarded with the compensation that they deserve, even though they work as if it is their job every day. As a student at our high school, I believe in the importance of our libraries, and I believe that they are critical to my school and to my community. As a student at our high school, I know that this is an issue that needs to be addressed for the sake and for the benefit of all students at our county high schools. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Before we go any further, did you receive a letter also advocating in a similar fashion?
I did, but not to be read. It is, will be entered in, it has been entered into the record, but.
And it's in all board members' email.
Yeah.
Okay.
Going forward.
Just for the record, that letter was sent by Deb Hopkins.
Deborah Hopkins, yeah.
Okay. Suzanne Sterling. Welcome.
Thank you. I always tell my students to face the room, so I'm gonna stand over here. Many of you know me, so I'm not gonna introduce myself, but I'm just so thrilled to see so many former students here. Thank you for your service. I'm pretty angry about this library issue. I'm really angry, and I'll tell you why. And a dear friend of mine told me to tell this story. Really angry because my mom's dying, and she's home, and she was in the hospital in critical shape for a couple of weeks. And then we brought her home to die, which many of my former students that are here know that's partially why I left my career at Quincy High School after, 22 years in the district, the same district that my father taught in for 35, the same district that my mother, who's now home with congestive heart failure and stage 4 kidney failure, gasping for breath while I'm here speaking to you, was a librarian at Quincy Elementary School for 10 years. And my mother had a master's degree in education from a private school in New York State. And my mother made, I think she told me $7 an hour, and she started at $8 an hour when she left. So I'd have to say in the 45 years since my mother was an elementary school librarian, I believe the entry level came up for a substitute, maybe Mr. Schill could correct me, to $16.08 last year when I volunteered in the Quincy High School Library for, I don't know how many Mondays, you guys. And my 3 former students, Xenia, Katie, and Luke, can tell you how terribly awful I was as a credentialed teacher at being a librarian. I had no idea what was entitled in being a librarian. I, like many other people, just assumed that librarians checked out books. And that's not what librarians do. That's what maybe bad librarians do. That's not what the majority of the librarians I've met in our district or I've experienced. I was not popular in high school like my friend Matt McMorrow, or athletic like my friend Mr. Word or Mr. Krause, or brilliant like Elise or my 3 or 4 former students. I was that B+ kid who needed a safe space. And I had that safe space at Greenville L. And I had that safe space at Greenville High, full-time librarians for my entire career. And when I decided to become an educator, that was partially because of my love of books. Couple of other things I wanted to say about my mom when I told her I was going to speak. Interesting thing we can all learn from dying is that people want to come see you right before you die. So a lady in Quincy asked last week if she could come talk to my mom, and I said, sure. And I said, do you mind what your connection is? And she said, your mom was my elementary school librarian. She's the reason I made it throughout the elementary school. I was tormented on the playground. So I sat in the library and your mom listened to me for my entire elementary school career. Now, having sat in the library as an unpaid substitute, because quite truthfully, I'm angry at what we, the taxpayers, pay librarians. $16.08 is not enough to make a living in this county, in this state, and in this country. And if we have the money as a district, I don't want to say to throw at, but to paste on other programs, I would certainly hope that we choose to put that money towards our libraries. And if you're not going to believe it from me, a teacher who worked for you for 22 years, or Mrs. Keppel, who may or may not be staying in her largely volunteer position, I would listen to the students from Quincy High School who have stood here and told you how valuable a library is. And on my last final note, I subbed last year in Greenville, both at the elementary school and at the high school in your district, Mr. Keller. And so to see a library at Greenville L after having their town leveled with no one in it, and then to substitute in the high school and see a library closed in a community that has experienced so much, it's unconscionable to me. So thank you for your time.
all the students lead and stand over here. You know that rule. My name is Erica Purdue. Thank you for listening today. I teach at Quincy High School and I teach English. And I agree with everything that has been said, so I want to try and keep it short. I just want to add that in my 9 years at Quincy High School, I have been in the classroom that is closest to the library. And so I have been lucky enough to witness everything that Tracy Keppel has done for our students. In addition to the safe space that she has created and provided for our students, it's an incredible academic hub. I am able to collaborate with Tracy Keppel when I am teaching units or lessons, and she provides all of those resources that one teacher just can't get to or get through. So I see my students, my AP students, my 10th grade students, I see them go in and ask questions related to whatever we've talked about, and Tracy knows the answers. So the last thing that I want to say is that it is not enough to open our libraries. We need someone like Tracy Keppel. And in order to do that, which will be impossible because she is such a gift to our community and to our students, there is no other way than to offer a full-time position and to recruit a highly qualified person to replace or move into all of our libraries at all of our schools. The reason that our library was closed at the beginning of the year, and we are talking about dark doors, right? The lights are off. I mean, it was that dramatic and it felt that way in our hallways. It's because we could only fly a 15-hour-a-week position. I don't know who's going to do that except for a miracle worker like Tracy Keppel. So my request and my ask and my plea is that we make this a full-time position at all of our high school libraries because I've seen what it can do. And I just want to say thank you to Tracy for bringing this to all of you.
Thank you very much. Elise Orvis?
Thank you. I want to start actually by contradicting something Tracy said at the very beginning. This is a really exciting topic. I teach 8th grade English and I've done it for far too many years. And I wanted to talk about the contrast. I had a shocking moment last week when one of my students who I ready and their state test scores telling me reads at the 3rd grade level in my 8th grade class. He excitedly announced, I'm in the book club. And that is the power and the excitement and the magic, and I'm going to try not to cry, of a talented person who can find the right book, get it in a student's hand, and let them open the doors and let them challenge themselves to go further into material they're not super excited about. And there's been a huge difference since we lost our full-time librarian. When I used to say, okay guys, we're going to go to the library, I said, yes. Now, because my classes before are volunteer and part-time, and those librarians that we have right now are on campus, the excitement's gone. We don't have the magic of someone who comes from a deep love of reading and literature and books to match kids with the books. And that again speaks to the great need to move away from site funding to give us district funding where we pay qualified, educated, credentialed teachers or librarians to please serve this very important need. My 3 children have already had the magic of all of that. I don't have any more children to educate the next generation deserves.
Thank you very much. Matt McMorrow.
Thank you for the board and before I start, I'm sure that Quincy High would much rather see one of you all fulfill. Couldn't take it all. But on a serious note, I'm embarrassed about what I'm about to talk about. Because what Tracy's done is important, it's on my list, and what I have to talk about is frankly embarrassing. So I hope what I have to say doesn't take away what Leo said before me, but I'm here, first of all, on behalf of myself as a teacher, just me. I know I have a lot of support amongst my colleagues, and I'm here on behalf of the students. But I'm here to talk about towards indoor hat hood policy. So I think it was 6 years ago, the board decided that there was gonna be no hats, hoods, headgear in the hall. I'm certainly not talking about in the classroom. Place. I'm talking about in the hallways where on Monday, I'm gonna use the F word because I don't think you know what 285 Kelvin is. But it was 52 degrees Fahrenheit in the hallway. And by noon, it was up to 57. And here I am in the hallway, yelling, take off your hood, take off your cap. I don't want to be a hat police. Okay? I want to engage students in places they need it, and they don't need this. And I know Monday, maybe the heater didn't kick on. So Tuesday went up by 3 degrees, and Wednesday went up by 3 degrees. And it's not just the cold, but again, we have better things to do with our time. The admin who are getting referrals for a hood or a hat or a beanie, it just seems rather ridiculous. And I would ask the board to please let the school decide what's important to them. Again, this is not in the classroom. This is as kids come from the outside and pass through one hall to go back outside, to pass through another hall, go back inside. And to get ahead of some of the reasons I've heard justification, you got a minute, I can do it. One justification is safety, that the cameras can't see people. The cameras don't work. Are we gonna cut long hair? And if it's safety that you're concerned about, I've asked that the doorways to our school aren't wide open like a Walmart. I've asked that law enforcement have a master key when we get shut down. Those are real safety concerns, not hats. The other thing I want to get in front of, Portola likes to have, and that's great. Let Portola do what Portola wants to, but we're professionals, and please treat us as such. And these kids don't need to be hounded about hats. We don't need to be police. We want to educate. We want to engage kids positively. Stand outside my door and greet kids, not stand outside the door and point out. When kids see me, it's rip off their hat, not hello, and that's sad. But please focus on what the people are coming said.
So at this time, if it pleases the board, we can return to item 5. That's the board organization for 2024.
Hey, Dave, why don't you pause?
Yeah.
10 seconds, so if anyone wants to step out, they can.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
What?
So let you go first.
You should have, yeah.
And Matt, we can focus on more than one thing, so.
Yeah.
So can we get pictures of you on the wall?
Yes.
I would just appreciate you staying on the wall this time.
Oh.
It's falling on the wall.
How do we participate? I'm not even from here.
Okay, thank you. So reiterating, item 5 is board organization for 2024. I'll be taking a few minutes here. Typically, we do this every December, but not always, but this time we are. This is regarding election of officers for PCOE/USD positions. The officers will be the board president and board clerk, and the appointment of superintendent is board secretary. Any questions or anything else?
I'd like to nominate Dave Keller to serve as president of the board for another year.
Second.
First and second.
Are you willing?
No.
Accept the nomination, my friend.
Yes, of course, I accept the nomination, but I will be abstaining on the vote. Any further questions or comments? You call for the vote.
I'd like to call for the vote.
Is that a roll call? or-
Yeah,
Somebody.
we can. Any
Aye.
vote? Yeah, okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries. Board clerk is the next position. And open to nominations for
I would move to nominate Jolene again if she's willing.
Do it again.
Second.
that. Okay, we have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And appointment of superintendent and board secretary.
Move to appoint the Wadrick to serve as superintendent, or I already is serving as superintendent. Yeah. You get another one.
I don't get to say no.
And this is 1 year at a time, right?
This is.
We do it every year?
Fine.
Okay.
Every until we need to,
Okay.
something different.
Very good.
So we have a first and a second?
I'll second.
There we go.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, motion carries. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate the confidence.
And we did. Okay.
And we've already done 5B. Just to update the two board members who were running late. I guess there was traffic issues for you. How long did you have to wait?
40 minutes without moving.
Wow, that's the longest.
I have no sympathy.
Anyway, for what it's worth, we adopted the proposed board meeting schedule as presented.
Great.
So, Measure B, any updates on that?
So, actually, yes, I believe today I signed the final form, finalizing the last inspection for all of our current Measure B projects. So, they will be closed out. Any final payments will be made probably in the next 30 days. And then we'll be able to have, a final accounting of what we have left and in terms of what wasn't spent, as well as interest that was accrued that the county paid. And then we can come up with a plan as to what we will do with that. There's a lot of fun things everyone's requesting, but we've got screws popping out of the roof at the Pioneer campus, and that's an $800,000 roofing job. And if we don't get it done, we're gonna have damage underneath, and we don't want to lose a building from water, so we're bringing some accounting to you in January or February, and so we can make a plan and what we want to do with funds. So Measure B is wrapping up, and I feel good about it. A project that started as Measure B is the Chester L roofing project. That is moving forward. They're working on it. Say they're gonna work through the weather. We had about a week or 10 days of downtime, and that was a result of damaged materials that were delivered to us, but they were 50 down in the stack. So they were just in there. So when they got to, can't use them. And my understanding is the way the stacks are, you take them off as they go on the building. The whole thing's engineered. So they had to stop, and those pieces had to be re-engineered. They had big scratches in them, so they weren't, the weather would have destroyed it. And those roofs come with a tremendous warranty, but they are moving forward. And another that we started with some Measure B funds, and we finished up with general funds. They're starting the backstop on the softball field on Monday.
Okay.
So that one's moving forward, and that's pretty cool.
That will be super helpful.
So that's Measure B, nothing to approve.
Nothing to approve,
No,
okay.
sir.
Thank you for the update on that. And, general fund,
2 projects on there. We have, the outfield fence, on such softball field. And, with Humboldt Fence, and they're doing the backstop. And then we have Vesper Resources, to update the spill prevention control countermeasures, for the bus barn to reflect current conditions and meet our, EPQ requirements. So that's, not a very expensive one, but something required by law. We have to do that. So, we have that. Yes,
But
those
that
are our
doesn't need to
two.
be approved either, does it?
Facilities, yes, they do. We need approval on those.
Okay,
That'll be, 9B.
9B, okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. And next up, we have the first interim financial report for PCOE and the other USD.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, thank you for having us here tonight. It has officially been a year since I stood here in front of you for the first time. And here we go again. Okay, slide. Okay, so here we are at our budgeting cycles. I have our arrow. We're here at first interim reports. This is what we know as of now. Trying to take some historical data from what had happened in the last few years to get to where we're at right now. In January, we will wait to hear the governor's budget proposal. And from there, we will move into our second interim reports, taking any major and minor budgetary effects from what the governor is proposing. And then once again, going back in, waiting for the May revise to see what's actuals versus budgets. Okay. I know we've gone over this before, but a positive certification indicates that the county office will meet its financial obligation in the current year and then the two subsequent years out. Qualified indicates that it may meet its financial obligations, and then a negative certification indicates that they will not be able to. I'm happy to report with all three LEAs in our county, we're all going to have a positive certification. Okay. What we're focusing on today in our strategic goals is fiscal responsibility and that the district and county will have a balanced budget. So I wanted to talk a little bit on the county side of things, some new programs that we've incorporated that the county is serving the district. A big one is our new truancy prevention team. And I know Missy has talked a little bit about that. And I think Macy had spoke a little bit about that with the peer educators going into from the high school over to the elementary school. And I think we actually just welcomed on our new team member this week, right?
She's starting January 6th. She'll be focusing solely on attendance.
Also, I think in there, I wanted to highlight but didn't our differentiated assistance, and that's revenue that the county receives and passes through the district to increase student outcomes. And then also one that I felt like it was important to be in there that it hadn't been in the past, and so I highlighted it in our services that the county provides to the district is our human resource specialist, Betsy Webster. Okay, for PCOE, this is our multi-year projections combined. So our between our restricted and unrestricted revenues. So that's LCFF and our tax revenues. And then of course, in our restricted programs, one-time funding, we're coming in at about 6.1. And spending down those one-time dollars that were fund balance. So they're not going to show as a revenue. However, they will show as a fund balance. We're going to spend those down. So hopefully getting around to $309,000 in this year and then leveling out in the 24 and 25 fiscal years. Between our special reserve for economic uncertainty and our fund 101 balance, we're at about 4.5 for each fiscal year. Key considerations for PCOE. Once again, we never really know what the signals are coming from the state levels, legislation levels. The retirements and the incentives, we don't really have a whole lot of folks on the county side that are near retirement, so maybe a resignation. Ongoing revenues, the differentiated assistance, you know, I think it increased from last year to this year at about $100,000. So we're sitting on $300,000 that we can provide to the district instead of the two. Our COLA target funding, I know that
adoption, sorry, Jesse, projections, we were thinking it would be somewhere from the 8 to the 3, and now we're looking at more of a 1.6 for next year. The one-time short-term funds, it's winding down, but it's a lot of money to try to spend in the planning year, and to be able to not only plan, implement, and purchase and make it as easy and as possible, but we're just trying to get it done, hoping not to pay any of those funds back. And COVID relief, learning loss, that's, we've realized through the closing process and the budget process, that's just about all gone. Next slide.
Next question.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything, anyone heard anything? I haven't, about Secure Schools reauthorization? I've been.
So we keep
searching,
our
but-
fingers crossed every year,
Yes.
and it usually passes.
I have an update on that. I actually called, Senator's office. I have to go back and look this morning. Left our support. That was going to subcommittee today.
Okay.
At the national level.
Okay, great.
So it is moving forward, and all of us who receive those funds, called and advocated on behalf.
Perfect.
And try not to attach it to anything, get it on standalone.
So with Secure Rural Schools, the difference between the county and the district is the district needs, we have to house those funds within our unrestricted general fund. The county is still able to hold that in a special fund. And so that's where you'll see where the county, it looks like we have all of this money between Fund 01 and our special reserve. Part of that is what the county receives in SRS money. Next slide. Okay, on to PUSD. This year are between our unrestricted and restricted. So once again, spending down those one-time dollars, the revenue is 36 million, our expenditures 37. I wanted to share with you guys that as we were working through a few weeks ago when we received the tax roll and working through my LCFF calculations, Plymouth Unified is now in basic aid. And what a blessing for us, because if we were to go with our LCFF calculations, our numbers would greatly decrease. And so what a blessing. And it was about 17% of an increase of tax revenues from what we saw last year to this year. So a deficit spend of 48,000, a transfer in, that's our interest. So transferring in, so this year we're deficit spending to 18 million.
18,000.
18,000, I know, I get my days mixed up with my hours, so I told you. So in the next 2 subsequent years, I haven't budgeted for reductions. I wanted you guys.
$18,000 in a $38 million budget.
Yeah.
It's less than 1%.
That is like zero deficit spending.
What we know right now for sure, right?
Where we're at.
The snapshot that I grabbed and how we look at the numbers, right? It shouldn't, I don't want it to look too much different in second interim, but what we know now. Next year, like I said, in the subsequent years, I didn't budget for a whole lot of reductions. I'd like all of us to take a look and see what it looks like as of right now with our second column and our COLA. And then I also did a very conservative calculation on our tax, on our property taxes, because I don't foresee the property taxes jumping up another 17%.
Is there any discussion about when the distribution will be made from the county this year?
So it's a weekly email that I have it on my calendar to remind, just.
Let us know if we can.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, and I mean, is it only worse now?
It's supposed to be better. It's supposed to be better.
Okay. I just want to make sure that that money is ours, that we see that in our funds.
I think it should be noted on that note that Mallory and Casey have worked very hard at improving the relationship with that office. And we've been assured that our money will be here more timely because they know what our cash flow issues are. And it creates issues on their end
And it's across the board. I mean, this is extremely important, but our little tiny cemetery and fire districts and all that, they're in the same boat. And so I'm right there with you. And if there's anything I can do to help, let me know. But we're fighting it from that side too, because we're all, a lot of our Plymouth County special districts are operating on a shoestring. And we have amazing people that we don't want to lose.
And thank goodness for income borrowing, right?
Thank goodness the school district has that, but special districts don't.
Right.
Speaking of timely payments, I noticed in your report, the J13 waivers are still outstanding.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes, we are still waiting.
Okay.
So,
No, we're not-
We've been assured they're going to be approved.
Okay.
And this is not just a Plymouth issue, this,
oh, it's a whole lot, I mean,
Statewide issue.
yeah,
Okay.
statewide.
everybody was affected by the snow last year, basically.
Okay.
So with that said, with just a slight increase of the property tax revenues, we're coming in at 35 million, again, about a $1 million difference in our restricted funding. And so you're gonna see what we have budgeted in expenditures is about 1.3, again, without any transfers in. Also, taking into account needing to build up our reserve. The transfer in of 30,000, we're at 1.2 for the 24-25. Same exercise for the 25-26, coming in at deficit of $2 million.
That's in what year? Because the things.
25, 26.
25-26, okay.
3 years out.
Now, keep in 25-26, that's also where our curriculum adoption goes. And so we're trying to find ways to where it's not just impacting a single year.
Why is there a decrease in funding coming from the state in 24-25? We talked about this. You could for the board know our projected goal.
Oh, I did. I because it went, it was the 8.6 and then it went to 3 point something. And then because now this city is having to make their reductions of 60 billion. And so what I think is gonna happen is they may not cut these programs for us, but they're not gonna give us any more.
Right.
And we won't know until probably the May revise.
The reduction of COLA from 8.5% to 1.5% that they're projecting saves them $8.5 billion without ever cutting a program.
But when I did check with the state about, then I should just use the 1.6, and they said, no, you need to use the 3.2.
And they'll negotiate it.
Next slide. Okay, so with the data I just showed you and the transfers in back, trying to get back to our reserve of the board policy of the 17%. Between our Fund 01 at 1.5, ending fund balance, and then Fund 17 at 4.7. So with the calculations that we have in those transfers in, we go from the 6.99 to 17.63, and then that third year out, we would again drop below the 17%. Next slide. I forgot to unhighlight this, but I was trying to find a way in my considerations because of the increase of property tax. I just want to make sure that we're monitoring it closely and if something looks like it's too low or too high, then we need to start questioning that. But thankfully this year we're in basic aid and our LCFF revenue went from 3 million to a little over $1 million. So we're not using as much of those unrestricted LCFF dollars. The ongoing revenues, once again, with the expanded learning program, we'll know a little bit more at the proposed budget, know for sure at the May revise what we're going to be doing with all of those dollars, because it's a huge amount of restricted dollars that we use for our after school programs now at all of our elementary schools. Considerations for the future years, enrollment and ADA versus our property tax with the county. The textbook adoption, instead of trying to look for ways, instead of spending $500,000 in 1 year, if we can reduce that amount and pay over, a 3-year time. And so it's kind of the same thing as you would think about our technology leases, that we're paying the same amount for the same product every year. The economic uncertainty, we'll focus on January's budget. STIRS and PERS, not a huge, cost increase for STIRS in the last few years, but a huge one for PERS. So our OPEB liability, we're monitoring that closely, making sure that we're actually paying for folks who are still around. And then maintaining the appropriate staffing needs and planning. And so I think with that, right now in these 3 years of budget, I don't see where I haven't planned for, 10 new staff members, but we're being conservative at this time. And then our special education shortfall, it's one of those things, you guys know how the contribution goes at the end of the year with special education, and it unfortunately just keeps increasing. So paying attention to that. Okay, any questions?
Awesome.
Difference a year makes, huh?
Can we have our graphics next time?
You're,
I can do well with the graphics, it's very helpful.
okay. I was gonna put my bit emoji at the end with like flying money, and then I thought that was so inappropriate. So I'm just getting your temperature on that.
I know eventually I'll start understanding all of the acronyms, so I do tend to fall behind a little bit on those, but I think overall I get the concept though, so hopefully we'll chat a little bit more. just so I can
Certainly,
understand.
certainly. I'm learning a lot too.
So no action is required on the PCOE. report?
Actually, I
Yeah.
think action is required. I think you have to approve, and then I think we have a certification page.
Yep, and that's.
Sign, and then I need that so I can upload it with my state report tomorrow. I make a motion to approve.
Well, second.
We have a first and a second, all those in favor,
Aye.
and then in the POSD side of things, financial reports, we need a first and a second on that too.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
First and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, the motion passes. Thank you very much for the report. Superintendent's report.
All right. A couple things to say. All right, so just wanted to start out with, very proud of how our teams represented themselves in the playoffs in the fall. We had a section runner-up, Chester volleyball team, section championship, Portola football. You heard Macy earlier, multiple Quincy teams made the playoffs. Just very proud of how our young people represented themselves with the class. When you get to the playoffs, it's really hard because in the end, only one team wins. And our kids did an amazing job, so did our coaches, very proud of them. I was out at Chester Elementary last night and watched the CES, Chester Junior Senior Music Program. Amazing growth for those, especially that high school group. I watched them last year and then where they are now, and to hear that, this is the first year they've played the national anthem at a football game since 2015. And so just the amazing work that Jane Brown does out there and the growth of those programs is really great to see. And then the fact that although we're still trying to fill that music position out in the Portola schools, that it's still alive. That, we've made some adjustments to figure out a way to offer music through different routes. And then this morning I watched the TKK music concert, and the little still love music, and that's something that we want to continue to foster. Look forward to seeing the programs in Quincy and Greenville next week. And those of you that have driven in and you see the plywood out behind the building, we have a construction project that we didn't anticipate over Thanksgiving. So we'll just update for everyone. There's a gap in the blacktop that's going to be temporarily patched, hopefully this weekend. As a result of a water main break we had over Thanksgiving. Thanks to Robin for his hard work getting that shut off. Getting folks out here to get our district office back up and running. It's gonna be a temporary patch and we're gonna fix it correctly. We've got some funky valves out there to be able to turn it off, so. Once we get through winter, we'll do it correctly. But right now, we can't even get them to mix a batch of asphalt in county, so we're gonna have to do it temporary. Super pleased with the work of our office, over the last 6 weeks. They've been processing people, recruiting, filling positions that are vacant for special education and our custodial crews and our maintenance and operation department. And, Megan has these plans and she plays chess with people and who's gonna go where and who wants to move and where's, the opening is here, but then where is it actually? It's really hard to follow and she's got it nailed. And so, I think we're pulling the trigger on Monday and we've got like 8 new people starting in different custodial maintenance positions all at once. And a lot of them are internal movements. People want a new change. And then we brought some new people in, which is really good. So just, kudos to Megan and her staff. It's not easy. You just saw this report. Big thanks to Mallory, Casey, and April, and the rest of the fiscal team for the work that they're doing for this first interim report. This is a huge lift because they rolled the budget and then started and went through it line by line and made sure every funding source is accurate, not an expired one-time money. And they basically went top to bottom and scrubbed the budget. So they know that the numbers we're looking at are accurate based on the data that we have and the numbers that we have. And we know what the funding sources are now for every person in this district. And that is a tremendous amount of work. So when I say what a difference a year makes, if I would have asked her to do that last year, she probably would have quit on day 2 and said, figure it out. But they took this on their own because we need to know what's right. And the reason they're doing that is because, the legislative analyst's office is, they keep updating the number. And so the 3-year budget cycle, which is last fiscal year, the current and next, the state of California is facing a $69 billion budget shortfall. We're going to cut more, and I looked at it before the meeting, I believe, more money out of our budget than 58 nations have as a budget in the world. And relatively, education has been unscathed the last 2 years. I don't know that they're going to be able to do it. They haven't touched the almost $9 billion rainy day fund, which is set aside mostly for education. So I don't think it'll be as bad, but if we don't figure this out in the state, 25, 26 start to hurt a little bit. But you saw we're in pretty good shape. Kudos to getting the reserve back where it is, really getting a handle on deficit spending. Year 2 and year 3 looks a little scarier, but it's not something we can't handle. So we're going to be working on that and continuing to work that deficit spending in the future. And just finally, for anyone that's out there in the world watching this, I'm just so very proud of the work our staff countywide does to serve our students. Every one of them contribute to maximizing learning experience for our students. And that should not ever be forgotten because it's a good group. That's my update.
Okay, thank you. Now we have, I think, 3 policy revisions. 11B?
Yeah, no, I think there's more than 3 on there.
Oh, okay, sorry.
3 policy administrator.
Yeah, you've got 3 policies and then the ARs to go with them. Yeah. So these policy updates are again recommended to us by the CSBA. They update us. And the updates are based on case law, court proceedings, things to help us become more galvanized in terms of litigation. We also will be bringing next month the updated on graduation. We had it done and then the format went wonky when we went to upload it. So didn't make this one, but looking for a recommendation on these policies and ARs so we can update our policies.
Thank you very much. This is first read, but we can waive that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the recommendation is to waive that first reading and then have the board approve the revisions.
The policy about chronic absenteeism, it's pretty much a complete rewrite.
Yeah.
The entire, it's all green and then it's all red. So what do we foresee? I mean, this is our policy. What's the big change here, other than, of course, this was suggested by legal counsel? What does it mean in layman's terms, like what we do day in and day out?
Day in and day out is so much of it is about the supports that we give. The shift in how school districts relate to chronic absenteeism over the last 5 years has changed, where even SARB used to be, they used to say SARB was the hammer at the end of it. And it's not. It's a series of interventions to find out what is preventing students from coming and what are the barriers. And SARB and the district attorney are the very last option when we've exhausted everything else. That's why you see the work that Missy is doing in her department with, and adding people focused on attendance. And it's almost all about mandating intervention.
Okay.
And we want kids here. We don't want them afraid. Don't come to school because you're afraid of what's going to happen. Come to school because it's a safe place where you can learn and be accepted, and then we can give them wraparound services, because a lot of these chronically absentee kids need a lot more than just coming to school.
What I read basically was a lot of prevention.
Yeah.
It's just putting in policies that for prevention.
Yeah.
So is that new person gonna be working with families, directly with families then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
And,
share more with you guys.
yeah, Missy's gonna come and give some reports in January on what she's doing with her team and what some of these goals are. Because we want kids to come to school because this is where they need to be. Anything else?
That was my big one.
Call for a motion then, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the board policies and ARs as presented.
Second.
There's a first and there's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We have minutes from the November 8th, 2023 board meeting. Looking for approval of that.
Move to approve. I'll second.
And first, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No abstentions at all? Okay. And we have the school district check registers for the month of November of 2023.
Move to approve. Second.
That the service contracts were included in that, is that right? Is that what that looks like?
No, it should be separate.
Yeah.
Okay, hard, okay. First and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Then the service contract?
Yeah, we have 4 for PUSD and 1 for PCOE, PUSD. Provide actuarial study, California Early Intervention Services, CD interagency agreement, with Sierra Cascade Family Opportunities, and then the QHS every 15 minutes program. These are all very standard. Recommend that you approve those.
Sierra Cascade Family Opportunities, or not an amount there?
It's more of an interagency agreement to provide services.
Okay.
It's not that, there's not a lot of cash that changes hands. That's Head
Start.
That's Head Start.
Oh, okay.
That's Head Start.
So the county service contract, just for information, correct?
Yes,
And the other 4 we need to
approve.
And we contract with Far Northern to bring an intervention specialist in.
So yes, Terry Segal, she's our early intervention teacher district-wide, and she goes in and serves those families, and then they pay us like $20,000 or okay, it used to be $20,000. So part of her salary is offset by those monies.
Okay.
The Plymouth Arts, is that, I mean, I know
Do we know anything about the program? I mean, to where do we get to use local art? Do they use local artists as part of?
Artists in the schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do that every year, and so they provide those artists that come in, teachers sign up for different classes, watercolor, dance, puppet theater, and menu that are teachers choose from at our elementary school.
Okay, and but they're all local artists, you don't draw from out of the area?
I haven't looked at the list this year, but it's always usually local.
Generally has been.
I'll make a move to approve the PUSD contract list if there's no more questions.
I'll second.
There's a first and there's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And we have, looks like about, looking at the sheet, about 23 field trips.
Welcome to basketball and wrestling season.
Is that what that is mostly? Sporting?
Mostly.
Okay.
I have a senior trip in there, I see it already.
Yeah.
Somebody's already planning.
It's a lot. That's what I feel. We're gonna be agree.
Looking for a motion whenever.
I'll move to approve.
The we.
Oh, we don't.
Okay. Well, I'm going too, except we're not yours, but.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
First. And a second? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And I think this is the time and place to go into closed session.
Yeah.
Can I make one comment before we go to closed
You
session?
may.
So we had mentioned, on the HR side about all of the, transfers with our, custodial staff. Just this past weekend was Dan Bickle's service, who was a very long-term, custodian who worked with my dad, who was in the district, 38 years as well. So just, I just wanted to just point out that his service was very nice, and, we had a lot of staff there, who also attended, and, but that was also a gentleman, so it's just how important our custodial staff is too. So, because that was a gentleman, that the stories that came out from students was amazing, because there was some previous students there who also shared their stories about, like a librarian, they also happen to be an ear around and a person that some of our students then visit with and form relationships with as well. So I just wanted to just point that out before we go to closed
That early crew of kids who show up on campus first, custodians and cafeteria workers.
Yeah.
That is their first point of contact.
And in the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The night custodians.
Oh, yeah. They're huge.
I was lucky enough to get to be a part of his, he had lots of woodworking talent, and he, for my wedding, he made me this beautiful bookcase, so I was very lucky to I didn't get a cradle, give me a cradle. I wasn't that cool. Anyway, so thank you before we went to closed session.
Very good. Thank you. Big, quick couple minutes, maybe we'll stop, I believe we have food set up in the staff room, and then we'll go upstairs.
Okay.
Jody.
That allows Patty to get on the